Hey everybody, welcome to SR Synth Weekly. We've made it to episode 18, so we're doing something right here. So let's start out today. We're just going to jump right in. Today we're going to start out with NETRVNNER. I think that's how you say it. If you look at the spelling, I'm just going to go with NETRVNNER. The Synthwave, synth group out of Calgary, Alberta. The song today is called Soulkiller, and it's a really cool song. Let me read his description, then I'll put mine on there. Because this description is kind of cool, because everybody has their own take on it, and this is what from his album or from his song, what he felt like. A program that would make a digital emulation or copy of NETRVNNNER's mind. Once bought by, oh my god, Arasaka, it was updated to destroy the victim's mind after the copy. The song captures the experience of losing your consciousness to the net. I took that as an added more, because you know me, I like to add my own little movie, stupidity. No, but I like adding my own little stuff to it. So I went with, something kind of a la Dreamscape in Brain, in Brain Scan. Also, let me start out, before I even go into that farther, we already know what the first part of it sounds like. Everybody's going to, first thing they're going to say is, oh, it's Stranger Things. It has that Stranger Things kind of feel. Yeah, but there's a lot of it that does. So I'm just going to skip that one, because everybody already, your first thought is going to be, yeah, I'll go that way. Let's go somewhere else. So, people are going to say that already on other things. I want to go the other direction. I'm going to go with, a sci-fi kind of show. It's going to be the character setting up and entering a mind or dream of somebody else. Kind of like Brain Scan and, like I said, Dreamscape. It just gives me that encompassment of that, where they're both lying on the table and the person's entering the other person's mind, and gives you that whole kind of like computer sequence where they go the neurons and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden you're in the person's mind, and it gives you that whole mind character deal. That's kind of what I feel like. Well, especially with his description, I kind of entwined both of them together. So that's what I kind of feel like. I also think I also want to go the second route on chasing a creature. A creature being chased, or you chasing the creature through a fantastic area. Like a big fantasy area. And it just kind of gives you that stalking, hiding, and finding each other and chasing each other down. So both of those work. I like the Dreamscape Brain Scan analogy better. So, but let me know what you think in the comments. And here it is. It's NETRVNNNER, and it's Soulkiller. like I said, I mean, it kind of gives me that brain scan kind of feel, doesn't it? I mean, it just works that way. I don't know, but let me know what you think in the comments. Everybody has their own favorite movie they like to have that would fit into. So let me know what you think. Next up, I'm going to screw up the name, and I apologize. It's either, because I hate when you have on the end of a word, I can never do it right. It's either Jamè or Jamè. So if I say it wrong, I apologize. This song is called Sea Love, and his description works perfectly for this. They're a lo-fi group out of London, and this one, let me read what he says. The song was inspired by 80s TV animation, and the song was my vision of a car riding beside the seashore with your girlfriend. With this song, it encompasses the 80s perfectly, but when he said seashore, and when I was listening to the song, it works perfectly, and this is a Miami Vice song. I mean, this is one of those where it gives you that whole Miami Vice setting, and it's a perfect song for lovers. I picture it, one way I picture it as the lovers in the, in a dark room. You know, you've seen them in the old 80s movies where they're in the dark bedroom with just the light coming through the blinds, and, and they're getting together and, having their little fun, so to speak, and, after the fun, they're still sitting in the room together, holding each other afterwards, reminiscing about the life or whatever the storyline is at the time. That's what I got on this. I also get, when he said driving through, I was listening, kind of gives me that lovers cruising around the sun, in a convertible, just going around the beach side, reminiscing about the storyline, or right before the climax of it, before everything. It's just they're discussing their own little relationship, or discussing their own little lives. That's kind of what I feel. But I mean, that whole it kind of encompasses that whole Miami Vice feel. Even with both of those together, it just kind of gives that whole feel. So check it out and let me know what you think. I'm gonna say Jamè, and the song is called Sea Love. mean, the Miami Vice feel just works for me. What do you think in the comments? Like I said, everybody has their own opinion. Just let me know what you think. Next up, we have the Dark Side of Synth, and the Synthwave Retrowave group, and I'm going to put Horror Wave on this, out of Italy. The song today is called Dark. It's really interesting because it's kind of encompasses a little bit of synth, guitar, a little everything. Like I said, when they leave me descriptions, I love starting with that just to see what they think. So here's the description. It's the horror soundtrack to your worst nightmare. Who's hiding in the dark? A dark hooded figure lurking in the dark. Monsters screaming, fast-paced, heavy tones for a good dark vibes attack. My version on that, I took that a little further and added my own, like I always do. This is one of those, the protagonist is running from a shadow or creeper in the night, and it's kind of like after the first meeting, and it's like want to use the in a forest kind of deal. I like using the forest setting because I'm from the South and from country, but it's one of those where they first meeting in the slasher film kind of feel, and they're racing and chasing each and the protagonist being chased through the forest or through the house, and that's kind of what I feel about that. Also, kind of gives me a title sequence to a full moon horror. If you'll find out that I love full moon everything. I have just about every movie of Charles Band. That isn't the Grindhouse. So I will use full moon a lot. So this is what I think. I love the full moon horrors, and this is the perfect title sequence to a full moon. Horror style, demonic possession. And he's probably gonna hate me for this. Kind of like a witch movie kind of deal. It's kind of like the witch movie on a full moon where the main witches are either seducing men or, seducing the group. It doesn't have to be men or women, kind of just that whole feel. Or they're in their little lair and they're just, seducing each other, so to speak. Getting ready to, and they're also like getting ready and they're, but it's a whole bunch of witches, and it's just, I want to use that analogy just on that, just because of, that kind of gives me that full moon witch feel. But my main one is that, the creeper running through everything, but I wanted to give double on that because it works on several different ways, just in like a chiller horror kind of feel. But let me know what you think in the comments. Like I said, it's Dark Side of Synth, and the song is called Dark. So what do you think? Does it give you that creeper feel? Creeper chasing somebody, or gives you that, or does it give you kind of like or gives you that witch feeling? Seduction, kind of horror seduction before they kill them. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next up, we have MrGamer. He's a kind of a chip, techno, synthwave, a little bit of dabbles in everything. And the song today is called Cross the Ether. I always screw that name. It's either ether or ether. I'm never good at it. His description is a ballad of deep emotions, transition and leads. So it's kind of like, he said it's kind of like an adventure game too. So I took especially his name, MrGamer, and I took that to another level. I took it as a beginning of a fighting game. That storyline that they always give you before you play the game. That shows the storyline of the whole deal. It kind of gives me that feel. It's a sci-fi adventure style too, with the main hero montage. It's a build or rebuilds the machine before, after the defeat, and while he's rebuilding it or building a machine to make it better, to kill the enemy. Those kind of give me that feel. Also kind of gives me that feel, you could use that in a game setting too. You have the initial meeting and you get beat, and then you have to rebuild, and it gives you that whole little like montage of that too. Also, I add this as a programmer, like in a movie setting. It's setting up it's like programming armor, programming a machine, to help defeat the enemy. It kind of gives you that feeling. But I like all of that feel, but it always kind of goes back to that, kind of gives you that storyline montage of like either a game or a sci-fi movie, but it has to have machines being built or rebuilt, and that kind of what gave me my feeling on that. What do you think? Like I said, check it out, and check out all of his other stuff. It's pretty cool. It's MrGamer, and it's Cross the Ether. So what do you think? I mean, doesn't it kind of give you that kind of like montage feel of a, you know, a building scene or that beginning storyline of a background storyline? So it kind of gives me that. But like I said, always let me know what you think in the comments, because I love your opinions on it, because my opinion's on one, your opinion's on the other. So let me know what you think. Next up, we have Chuck W. He's an electronic group out of Amityville, of all places. The song today is called All Four. It's kind of a interesting, it's a cool song, and it kind of gave me a few ideas that it was kind of hit and miss on what I wanted to do, but I think I finally figured it out. This kind of gives me that sci-fi. If you find out I like sci-fi, you'll find out I like sci-fi and horror. That's my biggest things. It kind of gives me that post-apocalyptic title sequence, you know, where you see like the evil robots take over the world, and you see like the assembly line of the machines being built. You know, as it goes through, you see the machines going, you know, they're going through their processes, and you know they're evil because, you know, you got the post-apocalyptic and there's like a storyline behind it. It kind of gives me that feeling. Also, kind of gives me the background sequence. You know, it's a post-apocalyptic song. Let's just go that way. But it kind of gives me that sequence. You know, the guy's telling the background, you know, as it scrolls up, saying, you know, what happened in the world, you know, like in the year 2450. You know, kind of gives it that background. And in the background, you have the song while it's doing that, and it's panning around through the world that is now. As the story is going through, that kind of gives me that vibe. It's a whole post-apocalyptic feel that just screams at me. So that's what I come up with. Also, it kind of gives me that first meeting kind of deal as they come in of the post-apocalyptic, and you just see the stuff coming in, and it's going into the town. This just screams at that for me for some reason. But like I said, let me know what you think. Like I said, it's give it a listen, and it's Chuck W, and it's All Four. So did that give you that feeling of post-apocalyptic feel, or did it give you something else? Uh, I like saying the post-apocalyptic wasteland and that story sequence at the beginning of a movie. That works best for my mind, but you know, my mind is not always there. But let me know what you think. Next up, I am going to screw this name of this song up, so make sure you're looking down at the description for it. The group is called Blume, and they're based out of UK. They're cinematic electronic, and this is just pure cinematic. I mean, it's perfect for a cinematic song. The song is called, and like I said, I am going to screw this up royally. Cinumburricyst. Or Cinumburricyst. Like I said, I was going to screw it up. And it's part one of that song. It's a cinematic beginning, transforms into dramatic electro beat and melody. This kind of like could be used as a full, you know, it's a full cinematic sequence that works for many things. I went with, it's a title of a fantasy movie. I went with that because it just popped in my head when I was going through all my, I use just for what I use Video Detective and a few others, just to help me find my mindset for songs. So the fantasy movie popped in my head and I looked up. So I use this as a world of, you know, fantasy and clans, kind of like, it's like you're in a forest. The forest clans, you know, you have the all clans in the forest, and or you know, in each section of an area. This is like the beginning where the clans are shown and the main hero shows up as the song builds. You know, you have the clans and everything. You have their whole setup and lands, and you know, even if there's like being problematic issues, and the hero starts showing up, he walks in as the you know the song builds. It gives me that, and also gives me that whole sequence of fantasy sequence of, as it progresses, you know, a person who was usually the underdog basically, or the person who, the unlikely hero who's the main character, but it's like an unlikely hero suddenly is bestowed power. You get the whole glowing light, or you know, suddenly he's got power and he's showing it. It's like, whoa, kind of feel as it builds into that. And then he goes on, and you know, as the song builds, he saves the day, and that's what I feel about that. I mean, it just gives me that whole like cinematic build where either the hero's showing up in town after showing off the clan, you know, and then you got the first protagonist, or you know, the unlikely hero, which everybody loves that kind of movie style in fantasy. Where the unlikely heroes, you know, it's got the he's the perfect person for it, and all of a sudden power is bestowed. And that's kind of what I feel about that. So, like I said, it's a great song, and it just kind of gives you, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of different ways you can go with that song because it builds so well. And there's a lot of different genres that will work on, not just a fantasy, but that's what I wanted to use today. So let me know what you think. The band is called Blume, and the song is called, oh my God, it's, like I said, it's Cinumburricyst Part 1. like I said, I mean, that works in so many ways. So, I mean, it works on great on any other genre, but I like the fantasy about that, especially the power deal. That works out for, for my own mindset. But like I said, everybody's different. Last up today, we have Arctic Mega Defender. They're basically a synthwave group out of Sweden, and the song today is called Mega Team to the Rescue. Their description is that they're influenced by Airwolf and James Bond Jr. And oh my god, I have not heard James Bond Jr. in forever. I had to go look it up afterwards because I forgot about that show. But I don't have to really describe it. It hasn't been already described that they just said. This is your 80s anthem song. Your 80s, TV anthem song. Yes, Airwolf works perfectly. Anything like the Johnny Quest type song, even Thundercats works in this. But I mean, it's the 80s adventure where evil is terrorizing the area, and the heroes show up to save the day. That's this song. Take an 80s adventure TV, 80s adventures, kind of like a sci-fi TV, or just 80s adventure anything, and even G.I. Joe would work on this. Just take any 80s and that works for this song. I mean, I don't have to say anything that they haven't already said. It works. Just the whole build and whole everything just works for that. So, like I said, check it out. It's Arctic Mega Defender. I don't know why I can't speak today. And it's Mega Team to the Rescue. So check it out and let me know what you think. mean, if you don't hear Airwolf at the beginning of the thing, at the song, then you've never seen an 80s TV show. No, no, but it just kind of gives me that whole adventure thing, and I don't have to say much more about that because it's just an awesome, 80s adventure song. So, like I said, always check it out. That's it for today. I appreciate and welcome my new followers and my old followers. I didn't think it would actually grow as fast as it is, and I appreciate everybody's help in getting it out there that I actually do this. And I appreciate everybody's love and comments that I get. Make sure, the one thing though I do ask though is make sure you're following everybody on their social media accounts and their music, their Spotify, everything else. Because without the help of you, the viewers and listeners, then these artists can't grow, and they can't continue what they want to do, which is the music, which as it shows, it's really awesome. So make sure you're following them. Make sure you check out other. I know I'm a weirdo for saying this, but the synthwave genre and the synth genre is it's not dying, but it needs to grow a little bit better. Make sure you're following other synthwave videos on YouTube. There's plenty of them out there. There's a lot of synthwave reviewers like me. I'm just an idiot who talks about how they fit into a movie and lets you listen to the song. There's other synthwave groups out there that actually review the songs, and they do a bang up job on it. There's also synthwave charts like Revival Synth, Ghost Pile. Make sure you go on their website and follow them. There's Retro Reverb Records that showcase a lot of great bands on there also. Also follow like other podcasts. Like I'm biased because I'm on there a lot, but RadioDarkTunnel.net is an awesome radio group. He showcases Darkfather Martin showcases a lot of great music and a lot of newer group as well as some established, and it's just great music. Make sure you're following that. Also follow there's DJ Crow G, which I've showcased on here before with his music. He's also got a live DJ set on his site. I'm going to put the link down below. But just make sure you're following all these synth groups and these synth reviewers like me, because without you, the music can't happen better, and without you, we can't help you find more music. So make sure you follow all these accounts and all these artists because they all deserve it so much. I appreciate everybody's love, and I hope to keep growing, and I appreciate everybody's views and comments, and all my followers and my new followers. I hope to keep going on. So for this week, this is the Redneck saying have a good one, and I'll see y'all next week.